things were.
Every cab horse in London has three things: a shelter for the night, food for its stomach, and work allotted to it by which it can earn its corn. When he is down, he is helped up, and while he lives, he has food, shelter, and work.
He wrote passionately about the submerged tenth of the population, the poor who had no rights, who surely had more value to God than a cab horse. He devised a social scheme which would offer shelter and food for the homeless, and provide them with work and training for work. He wanted to see them become self-supporting and self-respecting. He could now see how his teenage vision of justice for the poor could be fulfilled.
William Booth was in some way the beginnings of British sociology. He was looking at social conditions, he was analysing social conditions, and he was proposing remedies for social ills. In Darkest England and How to Get Out of It is a hugely influential book, a hugely important book.
The book was a bestseller. William became the most talked about man in Britain as people grasped what he was saying, and as he and the army began to put into effect some of his ideas.
The Salvation Army had the first job centre long before the British government got into that kind of thing. And so people, the up and outs if you like, who needed servants for instance, were encouraged to apply to the Salvation Army's employment exchange.
They set an emigration scheme in motion, enabling people to migrate to countries where there was more work. They opened a match factory making safety matches, the first to ban the use of phosphorus, which had caused hundreds of painful deaths. The factory was clean, light, and well aired. Wages were higher than in other match factories, and workers were allowed tea breaks. When other factories adopted similar standards, the army turned its attention to other social evils. Until his 83rd year, William kept a general's eye on the army at home and abroad. His last public appearance was in the Royal Albert Hall on May the 9th, 1912. Almost blind now, his voice filled the great auditorium.
Like a ship, I am going into dry dock for repairs. But while women weep as they do now, I'll fight. While little children go hungry as they do now, I'll fight. While men go to prison in and out as they do now, I'll fight. While there is a drunkard left, while there is a poor lost girl upon the streets, while there remains one dark soul without the light of God, I'll fight. I'll fight to the very end.
And so he did. Shortly before he died, he called Bramwell to his room.
Bramwell, promise me that when my voice is silent and I am gone from you, you will do more for the homeless of the world. Ah, my boy, we don't know what it means to be without a home. Bramwell, look after the homeless. Promise me. And if you don't, I shall come back and haunt you.
General William Booth died on August the 20th, 1912. The world mourned the passing of an ordinary man who lived an extraordinary life. A life which changed the face of Britain and the world, for good and for God. William Booth left behind him a dedicated army of Salvationists, who, like their founder, persistently and faithfully continue to bring God's love to the forgotten people.